in the physical realm, which is the top of the head here, which is the unity center or the bliss center, in which we experience the bliss of unity with all beings and all things and all events. There's no illusion anymore of separateness. The whole concept behind this idea of spiritual evolution is that all sense of separateness is actually an illusion. For example, in the movies, when we go to the movies, to the cinema, there is a light in the projector which is white and pure and without form and without color. And this light passes through the film and obtains color and form. And we can see these lights playing in the smoke in the movie theater. And then it hits on the screen and we see the concrete image which appears. The source of that image, which is continuously changing, is this pure, unchanging white light, which never actually changes. It appears to change as it impinges upon the screen. Now let's imagine that there is an image on the film which has one of those gladiator films, say, with 2,000 people, or say 10,000 people, and then there's two people that are fighting, and there are people that are on one side and people that are on the other side, and there's the stadium, and there's the animals and the trees and the sky and the earth, and all of those are the creations of one light. There's not one light which is creating the one who is another light who is creating the other who is fighting with him. It's the same light. And it's the same light which is creating all of the persons that are watching, and is creating the earth and the sky and all of the beings around. And so this model can help us to understand what we mean by universal consciousness, that there is a universal consciousness which is appearing as all of the persons, all of the animals, the insects, the earth, the sky, the planets which we see. We call it God. But now we're in a way changing how we perceive God. We're not perceiving him as a man who's sitting in the sky with a beard and is looking down and punishing some and rewarding others. We're now imagining a universal consciousness which is expressing its own self through all of this manifestation. This is experienced in the bliss center. That I am not this personal consciousness. I am this universal consciousness, and I am one with all beings. And here we can understand Christ's words in the Gospel of St. John. I am in you, you are in me, I am in the Father is in me. That is, I am consciousness, and as consciousness I am your consciousness, and as consciousness you are in me. So we will speak enough about consciousness later on. Let's come back to reality now. Reality is here. The first three centers where we're basically living at this point and experiencing the pain of life because we believe that we need some things which we are not getting, and we experience people as separate from ourselves, and therefore we fear. I would like to make a distinction here that, which I mentioned earlier, that we cannot judge from which center we are functioning by the activity, but we will have to determine the motive of the activity. For example, one person can eat out of the need for security, especially if he has passed through a period of life, or his parents passed through a period of life in which there was not enough food. So food can become a symbol of security. Another eats out of pleasure. Another may eat out of affirmation, that he can have rich types of foods and that he is successful, and he can have caviar and champagne and whatever else he may want to have in order to affirm that I am successful. Another may eat out of love. That is, by keeping my body healthy, I can serve those around me who have need. Another may see eating as a communion with the divine, may see that food as a manifestation of universal consciousness, and see every meal as a communion. So it's not the act, but the center from which I approach that act. The same is true for the sexual act. It can be a source of security for those who feel separateness and loneliness. It's definitely a source of pleasure. For many, it's a source of affirmation that there is a woman who desires me or a man who desires me, so that I am a man, I am a woman, I am verified in my sexual role. It can be love. It can be also a manifestation of that inner feeling of unity, spiritual unity, which manifests on a physical level. So the same act, no one can judge what the other person is doing from where he is coming. Only he himself can know, can judge for himself from where he is coming as he is approaching everything that he's doing in his life. The same with selfless service. Some people may do selfless service out of a feeling for security, because God will love me and God will protect me if I serve others. Others out of the feeling of pleasure that I am a good person or I am worthy, or for self-affirmation. Others out of a feeling of actual love. And others, for others, when you're in the fifth center of consciousness, there's no difference between serving and brushing your teeth, because your purpose in life is to serve. You are a cell in the body of humanity. You don't think you're doing anything special when you're serving. That's your life function. Just as eating and brushing your teeth and sleeping are your life functions. You don't give any special importance to that. So it's important as we begin observing ourselves in these weeks, not to judge the actions, but to seek to understand the motives. From which center am I approaching each person and each activity in my life? Now, what are some of the disadvantages in being controlled by the first three centers? One is that so much of our energy, of our time, our money, and all of our resources, spiritual and material and emotional, are lost in a vain pursuit of some happiness which we never get through those external sources. So in a sense, we lose our lives. We sell our soul in a certain way. And that could be different for each person. One person may be attached to his child's success, his child's success at school, or his child's health. Another person at his professional success. Each person has, another person may be attached to his appearance, that people will love me if I'm beautiful, if I'm handsome. Secondly, we cannot see people as they are, but we see them through our needs. That is, we don't see other people as eternal souls in the process of evolution. We see them as potential threats to the fulfillment of our addiction, or potential help towards the fulfillment of our addictions. And our feelings towards those persons have nothing to do with what those persons really are, but whether we believe that they will help us or obstruct us in the fulfillment of our addictions.